Hey, it's TradeMark, and today I'll be doing an in-depth review on the iPhone 6. Why am I doing it now and not earlier? Because I wanted to have a good idea what the phone's strengths and weaknesses are, which only time will show. Because simply, I just assumed that Apple had just made a bigger phone because they are catching up with the phablet-sized industry. Firstly, I had low expectations from this phone, even despite the Canadian $962 price tag. Let's start with the obvious and gradually move into the specifics. It is a bigger phone. But for some reason, when holding the Samsung Galaxy S5 or LG Nexus 5, in comparison they are roughly the same size, but somehow the iPhone feels different, but to Apple's credit. Having the on-off button on the side and not on the top, as Apple has always had it, is copying how most Android phones had it for some time. Samsung, for instance, in both big or small phones, whether it's the Galaxy S5 or the Galaxy S3 Mini, has always had the button on the side. The iOS 8 has some improvements, and Apple is trying to promote its functions, but personally to this day, I think that some of them don't quite live up to their "it just works" phrase. Apple does claim that they are a design company, which, due to their past, you can't deny. I also understand that what looks good is personal taste, and the back of the iPhone 6 isn't appealing to me personally. The front is beautiful, and as are the speakers and buttons. Due to its curves, it is easy to hold and maneuver, and you have to give good credit to Apple for that. The fingerprint scanner works marvelously, and very seldomly it tells me try again. And even if my hands are a little bit moist, so unless you are completely dripping sweat from running or whatnot, it works. So that's good news. The camera. Samsung prefers to go up in their numbers and pixels, so for better marketing purposes, but when it comes to actual use, even professional critics confirm this, and that is that the iPhone has the best smartphone camera on the market. The Galaxy S5, as you can see, is good, but overall, if you look at these pictures more closely, the iPhone 6 picture is the better one. The autofocus on the iPhone is really fast, so you can barely see it autofocusing. The iOS 8. Oh boy. Well, this is nothing that so far is strong with Apple. They're getting better with updates, but even the newest 8.1 still isn't where it should be and has constant bugs. For instance, they promised that we can choose between 2G, 3G, or LTE, but I don't have it. I was in the US just recently, and I had this option no problem, but here in Canada, just the old LTE option on or off. In iOS 8.1, they promised this change, but we still don't have it. Also, the text messaging, I was very excited on the iOS 8.1, and that too doesn't work as promised. My sent text messages to a person is on one message. My received text message is on another message. And if I had an iMessage conversation with that person, that would be on a third message. So, same person but three conversations. Very annoying. It's sad that iOS 8.0.1 has had major flaws, such as no cellular signal, no functionality of the Touch ID. Now, the iOS 8 has some issues also. I know that they are issues that will be resolved over time, but under Steve Jobs' clock, this would not happen. The processor. When I have been using this iPhone, I have had a few apps drop, but I didn't have anything that causes it to freeze. This is the A8 chip, which personally I like a lot more than the A7, the chip used in the iPad Air, the iPhone 5S, and the iPad Mini 2. I've tried all of them, and personally, the iPhone 5S and iPad Air, which I happen to own, freeze and crash more often. The iOS 7, I've had problems with basic functions as picking up the phone, the call was interrupted or didn't pick up sometimes altogether, which was extremely irritating, and now I don't have that feeling, which is good. It is packed with the new M8 coprocessor and is more efficient than the previous M7. The health app and step counter is extremely accurate. In this iPhone, you might say that the iPod Nano has this function, but the accuracy is incomparable. It's not 100% accurate, but the more I use it and try it, I'm impressed by its accuracy. Even in airplane mode, the step counter works flawlessly, and the technology can differentiate if you are running or walking and still manages to get the correct distance, and again, even in airplane mode. I've also tried fooling the floors climbed by taking sometimes a single, double, or triple step at once. I didn't manage to fool the technology, so all of these are extremely impressive. Now the big question, battery life. With intensive use, you can get through a day easily and have maybe 30% left. Personally, with my use and on one charge, I got 1.5 days to 2. Although the 2 days was harder to achieve, but 1 day and 2/3 max, no problem. I text a lot, as you can see, but overall, it is a big improvement than with my previous iPhone 5, which I barely got through the day. The speakers are an improvement than the last generation, but for the most part, I don't listen to music on my iPhone speakers at full blast. The iPad speakers are better, and the MacBook Pros are even better, but using it as last resort, it's fine. Now the question, is it worth it? Is it worth buying with these bugs, glitches? But other than that, it has elegant usage, better battery life, best camera, and if you have an iPhone 5, I would definitely give this a thumbs up despite the price tag. But if you have an iPhone 5S and considering to upgrade, probably not. If you are a die-hard Apple fan, you already have one. And if you didn't buy it, then just wait for the next year's model. Well, that covers everything for now. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, that always helps. And I will be doing this video in other languages.